Okay, I want to understand how this happens because we're gonna see an interview with Gail King of Harry and Meghan, and my first question was, did they record this with a potato? Because I know that Meghan uses Mac, right? This is not an Apple commercial. I'm not affiliated with Apple. I use Apple products. You do know that. But Megan uses iPhone and she uses Macs, and she could just use her iPhone, which just has a real nice camera to record this kind of videos. You don't have to be technical. You don't need I don't know, somebody from Archwell, intern from Archwell to do this for you. It would literally ask you any video conferencing app will ask you, do you want to use your phone as a webcam? As soon as you turn it on, and it detects the laptop and the iPhone on the same Wi-Fi. But no, they decide to record this with a potato, and for some reason, Megan decided to. I don't know if this is camera quality or what. I don't think this is. Well, it looks like a blur and filter, but there's so much filter that all her teeth look like one single teeth, and I barely can see her nose. I mean, what is this? And Harry, well, Harry at least Harry is so blurred that he looks stone as usual, but I don't know what this is terrible. This is just terrible. Let's watch this.
Meghan and Harry, welcome to you all.
Right.
Hi.
Hi, nice to see
Hi,
you.
hi.
Yeah.
Nice to see
Nice to
you.
meet you, Jonathan. Good to see you again.
Buddy.
See you again.
I love those gestures from Megan, who are she's like and she moves the hand and saying hi, how are you? And then is that the fake smile that Megan knows how to smile much better than theirs, but she is not even trying. She should have a filter for smiling as well. That's something that exists. You can fix your smile with a filter. Why, if you're here, Megan, why don't not go all the way? Just go all the way. Use a filter for your
Good
smile.
to see you again.
Buddy.
See you again.
We were doing work on this almost 5 years ago at Stanford. Do you remember what they said about in the online space? It's one of the only other places where you call the customer a user.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what they say, the only other place that you hear that is with the diction and
Okay, they're talking about this topic that they have been talking about, that the online bullying and how it affects teens and children, which is in many ways an actual problem when parents allow their children and teens to be on social media, which is it shouldn't happen. But again, I'm going to say that this is a retarded argument, but this is not from Megan, actually. I'm going to give Megan one pass. You know that I have 2 passes per show or per episode. And this is the first pass I can give Megan, because they think that, oh, this is, the online space is the only other space that people call people users. And the other one is addiction, drug users. And anyone with half a brain, this was a take that maybe some kind of LinkedIn bro or LinkedIn guru, those that are everywhere, giving TED Talks and stuff. Oh yeah, the users. People have been calling, computer users that way for decades. You know that's how Flynn was called in the Tron movie from 1982. I think it was. So yeah, from the 70s. I don't know if from the 60s, but yeah, users way before social media, way before the guys who created social media were born. People were already being called users, and not because they were addicted to those screens. You remember those screens? Some were like orange, then or somewhere like green. Nobody could get addicted to that, to those screens. And yet she repeats the thing. I mean, you could use half of your brain, if you have it, to make sure to not repeat things that make no sense. That you LinkedIn bro says that. I don't care if there was any kind of authority. user thing is the stupid.
Drug dealers.
Yes.
Drug dealers, they're users.
user,
They're creating
yes.
this habit. So everything you're saying, I think, of course, rings true. You know, we know in the work that we've done the tolls that digital pressures can take on young people,
And the digital pressures that you could have having to upload and update constantly your Instagram account, because if not, then your audience is going to it's going to move on. The algorithm is going to forget about you. Where are you, Meghan, by the way? She hasn't updated her Instagram in a while, I understand.
also the ripple effect that has on families, parents, entire communities. But you know, we touched on this in the fall, Jonathan. I think it'd be really helpful for people to hear, even if they've heard it from you once before, to hear again the data and the metrics that you have on how the screen time is entirely correlated to rising anxiety, loneliness, depression, specifically in kids.
You know that broken clock is right at least twice a day, right? And this is an actual thing. The screen time, the time that you spend looking at your phone, specifically, this is important. Scrolling apps, any app that you can scroll and that gets you some kind of reward. That is the problem, because you could be looking at your screen and you could be reading a book. That is an actual thing. You are scrolling the book sometimes. You can have pagination, but you can also scroll. It's not a scrolling, but it's those dopamine rewards of scrolling and having a different update, maybe a different video, maybe a different meme, there are a different update, some rage baiting, some clickbaiting. That's the problem. That is an actual problem. And yeah, that is literally correlated to rising anxiety and loneliness, depression, specifically in kids. That's an actual thing. That's why kids shouldn't be using those apps. And they are using those apps. So yeah. And by the way, now that we're talking about what kids use, you know what another problem is? When people have let's say a confused way to assess their own appearance, and filters, by the way, on Instagram, on TikTok. I think this is especially about TikTok. I don't use Instagram that much. You can tell that when you use filters, you are looking at a distorted version of you, maybe slimmer, maybe eyes bigger, maybe your lips are fuller. You know that you can do all those changes with those filters from a long time ago, and the filters are just become, the AI had become even more perfect, so to speak. So, but you're looking at yourself in the screen, and you're looking at a you that doesn't exist. So if that's something that, on top of all that, distorts kids' perception of their own selves, then why did Meghan choose to add so many filters to her face so her nose would disappear? I don't get it. Let's pretend that it was not filters. Maybe it was just a very bad phone. But at the same time, why, if you're going to give an interview in which you want to, I don't know, send a message, why not make sure that it goes the best way possible? It doesn't, I always go back to that, to those remarks that Meghan has a great attention to detail. No, the upside down jar prongs and this, I'm beginning to lose faith in Meghan.
And specifically in kids, it's
sorry, the caption.
It's so compelling. So if you're able to share some of that, I would love to hear it again too.
And then Harry says something that is I did not understand what Harry says. So maybe you can understand what Harry is about to say. You can tell me in the comments what does he say.
I would love to hear it again too.
Yes, yes. It's all stored up here.
Thank you, Gail.
I didn't get it. So
Yes, yes. It's all stored up here.
I don't understand. I literally don't understand. My English doesn't register retard. That is a dialect that I don't get it.
Gail, I mean, I think part of it, less about concerns, because what I love about what this book does is it's about really the solutions.
Yes,
and Jonathan, you had
Good
spoken
point.
about that, and it stuck with me because even when we were on Mental Health Day in October, you were saying you cannot replace the feeling of a deep guttural belly laugh. An emoji of laughter is not the same physiological response that we need, that our kids need. And what I love is that the more that we encourage our children to do this, we mimic those same behaviors. We also start to
Yeah.
play, and we also start to be more
That is a bit of a word salad because I don't know what behavior she's telling us to engage. I think that it's a person to person interaction. That's what she's saying. I think that that's what she's saying, right? And also, I guess it's. I'm gonna tell you one thing, by the way. This two look absolutely detached from whatever Meghan and Harry are saying, as is they don't want to be there, as in they could have, I don't know, a root canal or something. And even Gail Kins looks like she's about to leave the screen from one side. Okay, I'm leaving. I'm out of here. I don't want to be here. I'm just here because of the paycheck. But this two, no, the expressions, the body language is that total disengagement. We don't want to be here. We want to end this as fast as possible. When can we go home, please?
And so I think as we look to New Year's resolutions, which we're all making, and I know for a lot of
But you see that Harry was in that same attitude at some point. Look at this.
And so I think as we look to New Year's resolutions, which we're all making, and I know for a lot of people it's probably less laughter emojis and more real laughter.
Oh my God, Harry, blink if you're
I know for a lot of
in trouble.
people it's probably less laughter emojis and more real laughter. And
by the way, she's talking about New Year's resolutions. I understand that I think that I'm not sure. This apparently was recorded back in November, and it's now that's been aired. I did not get it from the information that they had. I just found it baffling. One, of course, the quality. Two, how it's like they're being, especially Harry, is being forced to do this. He doesn't want to be there. Meghan, why you do this? You're bullying him, and not online, in person. That is not a good thing, Meghan. Why are you doing this to Harry? Why don't you leave Harry alone? Oh yeah, because Harry likes it. I forgot that point.
Emojis and more real laughter.
Again, there's a false equivalence into, okay, an emoji cannot replace an actual belly laugh. Yeah, because the emoji is not designed to actually convey physical emotion. It's designed to convey an emotion in text, so you can send it. It's like, the joke that we write LOL, lots of laughs, and we write it like also serious, but it made us laugh, or maybe we said huh, but then we write it in a rush to say that we need to send that message, but we write LOL without actually being in lots of laughs, because there's an emoji to convey text communication, or communication in text, because you used to use the emojis are only characters. Again, word salad, TED Talk, trash. It's sad that TED Talks became so trashy nowadays. And not to mention that the body language is golden. There's a lot of gold body language in here.
Emojis and more real laughter, and also less screen time. I guess, for both of you and for Catherine, are there any adjustments and tweaks that are tangible that
Harry really doesn't want to be there again.
Emojis and more real laughter, and also less screen time. I guess, for both of you and for Catherine, are there any adjustments and tweaks?
Oh, look at that blinking rate. It's like this is emotional reaction, and Harry is uncomfortable. I mean, how hard could it be to just stay there and behave like a regular human being that is engaged in the topic, that you are actually worried about these teens and these kids, especially those who are in danger, at risk of taking their own lives because of online bullying? You just have to sit still for what? 20 minutes? Half an hour? Is that too much to ask for, Harry? Is that is, I would say, concerning, but I'm not concerned about Harry. I have no pity for him. I couldn't care less about him. I could say a few things in Spanish, but no, I have spoken enough in Spanish these days.
That are tangible, that people could start to implement today for their families, especially as we've come back from holidays. That reintegration after 3 weeks off school can be really tricky for parents. And I know
because we all know, as parents and as working parents, we want to create good habits that are lasting for our children. But we also, we've got to be realistic.
I would like to know what are those good habits that Harry is mentioning. I guess that is being able to talk to them person to person, but how can Harry and Meghan actually talk to their children person to person if they are always on the move or traveling or in other places and not with their kids? Maybe they have been more with their kids lately. And not gonna lie, that is nice, as long as they don't use them for merch, which is pretty much what Meghan is doing in a soft way. This is a soft launch of the merching. Not gonna elaborate more on that. You know that I don't like to touch that topic, but that's what happened. So maybe that is a good behavior. Not the merching, but they're spending more time with their kids. I don't know. I'm trying to find the silver lining in here.
About what we can do consistently. So I guess.
Yeah.
Can you
Good question. Very good question.
Yeah, can you share some ideas with
Catherine,
who's on this call, who's listening, on any small changes that can have a big impact?
Yeah.
Small changes that could have a big impact is to shut your effing mouth once and for all, and maybe just stick to the Instagram posts, but not talking. You don't speak. You don't have to speak for Instagram. You just do your thing, do the thing in the kitchen that you think that you're doing, and spare us the sanctimonious rhetoric about something that obviously you don't care about. This is something that they obviously don't care about.
I've got a couple of questions. Jonathan, first off, we saw you last on World Mental Health Day. And over the years, we've worked with you on how the digital space is deeply affecting our collective and mental, emotional, and physical health. And obviously, a huge congratulations to you and the outcome of your research, which has created.
I always find it funny that there's this. I don't know if this was on purpose by Meghan. Look at this. She's turned into Harry. It's like her nose is a blob. It's a literal blob. These are the kind of moments that I ask myself, if Meghan is not doing this on purpose, so I cannot read her. Yeah, I have main character syndrome. That's an actual thing. But think about that. I'm not the only one who reads her. Like Scott Rouse reads Meghan as well. The behavior panel reads Meghan as well sometimes. So maybe she's doing this kind of, I don't know, she put this, I don't know, substance in front of the camera to make this look like, I don't know, recorded with a potato. How can somebody make anything out of this? Even the mask slips, the way that her mask is slipping with this. Look at this. It's unreal. It's unreal the way that this looks. It's like, look at that. Look, I'm gonna cropping like this. I'm gonna make sure that you're looking where I'm looking. What is this? It's like a blob. It's like those fishes. You have seen those fishes that are very ugly, that are like melting. It's like this. What is happening? I don't know. Maybe this wasn't purpose. Maybe it wasn't purpose. I don't want people to be reading me. I don't want the body language guy or the Roger Rogue or whatever.
Has created a parent-led movement, which is astonishing and much needed.
And that we're proud to be a part of.
Yeah, hugely.
Yes.
And your insights have been incredibly valuable over the years for our work with parents who have lost their children to online harms. And working towards solutions to keep all children safe.
Oh, and there was an actual slip. No amount of nose blob and blur can deny the fact that there was a huge mask slip from Meghan right now. But well, I am surprised that they did this in such a badly technical way, in a badly implementation way. But that's what they are. They are not even trying anymore. I don't know what they're going to do the rest of the year, but I think we're going to have an interesting year because Meghan has to do something. And when Meghan has to do something, that's when the fun begins. But let me know, what do you think about this in the comments? My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Roger Rogue. Much love and bliss.